but yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I mean, we used to have a litmus test against whether or not the night was a success by whether or not we broke the game. So yeah, so like if you had too many
people,
yeah, you already know if you have too many people, they get kicked to a different realm and the game breaks. And it was like the best feeling in the world to run to Twitter and Discord and say, we did it again, we broke the game. And it was like 4 weeks in a row or some crazy thing. I mean, it wasn't, it's not happening right now because Decentraland has also like worked out a lot of the bugs as well. But like stress testing technology is fun for me, and that was a really fun experience to be a part of, and also to kind of hang our hats on a little bit as well.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the NFT Project podcast. Today we have the full squad here, Brock, Aaron, and myself, Boy King Koi. And today we have a very special guest, an alien DJ from the Metaverse, Jack Frost. How are you? And welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I am doing really good. It's a little chilly up here in outer space now, but you get used to it after a while. So things are good. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's kick things off a little bit by talking about how you started, getting into the metaverse. Obviously, you've come from outer space. So how did you find out about all this stuff? And, what interested you to get involved in the metaverse?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So, so my name is Jack Frost. I'm an alien DJ and Metaverse Defender. I used to be a bit of an intergalactic hero in my previous life. And I was on a routine mission several years ago when my ship was struck by an asteroid and I crashed here on planet Earth, which at first was pretty scary, but it actually turned out to be a pretty awesome experience because I fell in love with Earth as a place and, humans as a culture and race. So, it actually worked out really well. And I decided to stick around for a while. I initially wasn't exactly, well received as being, an alien from another planet, kind of, crash landing in the middle of the desert unexpectedly. This was back in the 1940s. And so the U.S. government took me into custody for a while and nearly dissected me to kind of figure out, what I was made of and what aliens were made of. But, I wasn't really being held captive. I was just kind of brokering relationships, and I decided to get out of there and do my own thing here on Earth. So I broke out of the facility in Nevada known as Area 51. And since then, I've just been on Earth, making music, making art, making friends, and making connections. One of the things that stood out to me about Earth was that, it seemed like there was this disconnection from Earth to the rest of the universe from an energy perspective. And so I wanted to contribute to the efforts towards, bridging that connection to Earth and to the humans here. And that's when I discovered the metaverse. The metaverse that you guys are building is very, very cool. Metaverses, I should say. And, I'm spending time in as many of them as I can and trying to, bring music to the metaverse, bring entertainment and positive energy to the metaverse, and use the metaverse as a communication platform and a social platform towards driving inspiration and perhaps even driving change. So that's a little bit about my background and kind of how I came across the metaverse. And now I'm just absolutely hooked. I love it, and just love where it's going.
Jack, were you the reason that there was that whole thing about people storming Area 51 at a certain period of time? I felt like there was like this big Facebook event for everyone to storm Area 51. Were they trying to get you out?
There's a lot of people looking out for me out there, so I think some of them were working towards that. Yeah. And I promote peace, right? I promote peace, and so I kind of tell people just let's go with the flow of the universe and let them figure it out. So it was a very, very non-violent protest.
Sick.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the metaverse. You've been DJing, obviously, bringing the music stuff, but what you've got a bit of an NFT project going on that involves that kind of stuff. So what have you been doing there? Give us a little insight into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in cryptocurrency since 2017. I've been in NFTs for about 2 years. And for a long time, I was trading NFTs, as part of my sources of income. Human beings and aliens alike need to pay their bills. And so, NFTs became a cool way for me to, do that. And I quickly identified that there is a, very big hole in the NFT market as it relates to music NFTs and metaverse, like real metaverse utility NFTs. And in November, December timeframe, we really locked in and made the commitment to move the entire Jack Frost brand over to Web3 and over to, the metaverse. I think of these things, and I perspective is so important. I'm sure you guys know that as well, right? That everybody comes from a different perspective, and
different planets as well.
yeah, different planets, different solar systems, the whole thing. And so it's really important to like level set for me at least, when I'm navigating this space, because people have different timelines and different histories in the space. And so, long story short, I came in with a lot of expectations that music NFTs, would behave in the way that PFP NFT collections would behave, right? That you do these large size collections, they are generative in nature, there's rarity. You have a whitelist, you have a reveal process, you do it all on Ethereum layer 1, and you just go to town, right? You do the whole deal. And I don't want to say I was met with resistance. I think I was met with like confusion, because on the other side, music NFT culture was a lot more of this narrative, let's say, of like Web 2 music industry creates challenges for music artists, Web 3 creates opportunities for music artists, and kind of this energy of like, come support me in Web 3 as a music artist. And I love that narrative. I think that's a beautiful story. It's just not mine. And so when I came into the space, it was a learning experience for me to kind of reverse engineer my thinking to adjust to the music NFT space at that time. But long story short, we launched a large size collection called the Space Pass NFT. It's a 3-way NFT in the sense that it's a profile pic NFT, it's a music NFT, and it's also an access pass to the metaverse. I should say to metaverse experiences. And, that's really what I'm driving towards as an artist in this space, and as a creator and a technologist and a scientist and an alien, is building immersive experiences for the metaverse and bringing those experiences to my holders, to my community, and to the, greater Web3 community. And so the utility of the Space Pass is expanding on that last piece, that yes, you get a profile pic, which is also a generative one of one. No two Space Passes are alike. Every Space Pass is a one of one. So it's a generative one of one PFP with a music NFT attached to it and an access pass. So it could not get more complicated. And trying to explain this in December of 2021 was like trying to, explain fire to, the caveman kind of example. So And it's not to say that I was like anything special for doing it. For me, it made sense. For me, it wasn't enough. For me, it should have been more complicated and have more utility, which is just a good example of, perspective. One additional layer to it, though, that I will say is really interesting and I think stands out from a historic perspective is the fact that we created what we called song rarity. So if you've ever minted an NFT directly from a mint site and you've gone through the experience of trying to get a rare, or even just buying off of secondary and trying to get a rare, but like that experience of not knowing what you're going to get for the NFT, clicking mint, approving the gas, approving the fees, and then finding out afterwards what you got. That is the Space Pass minting experience, but with the expanded benefit of having not just image rarity, but song rarity. So the collection itself has 8 songs in it, and every NFT has 1 song randomly assigned to it by the computer algorithm, which means that when the collection ultimately mints out, there will be like not the same amount of each song in existence. So it's really cool, and at the time was incredibly rare. Since then, I believe some other song rarity and some similar mechanics, but we were very early, which is something that I'm very proud of, just from a historic perspective, and it's been a fun journey, kind of connecting the 2 dots, right? Point A to point B, and there's this space in between, and we've been kind of bridging that space from my perspective to music NFTs and just kind of evolving as we go. So I know there's a very long answer, but yeah, that's a bit about the collection.
I'm glad you brought up the music side of it, because I was actually going to ask about that, but you've explained everything about it perfectly. So glad you went into that. The long explanation was well worth it. What about these metaverse experience? So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in the metaverse, because obviously, the technology is getting better every day. What metaverse are you doing these experiences in? And, give us a little bit of an idea about what you're actually doing with these experiences.
Yeah, I think sort of to add to that as well was I was going to ask about, what do you own multiple lands in multiple spaces, or is it just, are you focused on one?
Yeah, I love these questions. Totally. I love these questions. I love the metaverse so much. And I'm happy to share why as well. So what we're doing in the metaverse is, in layman's terms, we are doing metaverse concerts, in the sense that you can go into a metaverse environment and watch a Jack Frost music concert experience on a screen, and have an audio and visual experience. But what we're really doing is we're building metaverse experiences, and what I mean by that is, concert implies so many things to me, from the IRL perspective, that can be absolutely shattered and broken when you think of the metaverse. So it's really, for me, it's important that I always look at it from the user experience perspective and less about the tool itself and the technology. But fundamentally, we are doing massive metaverse concerts. We started in November, did my first metaverse concert in Decentraland, which is the primary metaverse that I spend most of my time right now, is in Decentraland. And did the first concert in November, made a million mistakes, and then did the next concert about a week later and, made a million more. And it was fun. It was so fun and such a great experience, making these mistakes. And experiencing this growth, to the point that we were actually, interestingly enough, at the same time that all of this was happening, we were also in the middle of a massive crypto bull run. And so there were actually, believe it or not, more people in the metaverse then than there are right now. I think from like a user account perspective or from a across all metaverses perspective, you could probably contest that statement. But specifically inside Decentraland at concerts, you would see a significantly larger population of people in the months of December, January, February of 2021 and 2022.
I think that can be a little bit attributed to holidays as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Just people having time off from work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's so much that goes into it, 1,000%. You know, I think you also get a lot of people that are like enthusiastic about the metaverse. Of course, they were here early and now they're still here. So it's like less new and more, you know, consistent people and aliens, of course. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I mean, we used to have a litmus test against whether or not the night was a success by whether or not we broke the game. So yeah, so like if you had too many
people,
yeah, you already know if you have too many people, they get kicked to a different realm and the game breaks. And it was like the best feeling in the world to run to Twitter and Discord and say, we did it again, we broke the game. And it was like 4 weeks in a row or some crazy thing. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it's not happening right now because Decentraland has also like worked out a lot of the bugs as well. But like stress testing technology is fun for me, and that was a really fun experience to be a part of, and also to kind of, you know, hang our hats on a little bit as well. And so yeah, metaverse concerts, metaverse experiences, and metaverse nightclubs is the long-term vision that I'm building as part of what we're doing. So the nightclub is Area 51, and it will exist in multiple. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. It will exist in multiple metaverses, paid metaverses, free metaverses, token gated metaverses, and Space Pass NFT holders have VIP access to this nightclub, as well as a ton of other benefits and, you know, crazy things that we could go over. But yeah, it's really all about Area 51 and making Area 51 a hub in the metaverse for a number of events, concerts, club experiences, birthday parties for celebrities, you know, private events for businesses. Like it's an exclusivity vibe that we're going for.
So with all your fun, like basically any kind of funding from your NFTs now, you're building Area 51, or it has been built?
A little bit of both. So it depends on the metaverse as to whether or not where we are with the build. But yeah, that's exactly right. Like we are, and it's also a really, thank you for that question, because it helps add some extra perspective as well, which is that there is no I in Jack Frost. It's our team. We have a 6-person dedicated team to everything that we do. We have at least, you know, 5 kind of part-time folks that, you know, participate when they can as part of our community, but like super supporters and extended members of the team. So we're really about a 10-person team at the moment, and we are a business. And so, you know, I see other, and I'm not here to talk about other artists, but just like the differentiator in the space sometimes that I've seen is like you'll have like a record label or something, right? And then an artist. But like I'm a artist as a business, right? An artist as a brand, and as a result, so we've got other expenses, significant expenses beyond just building the metaverse nightclub. We're throwing a huge party at NFT NYC that's absolutely free for our holders. And that's just like one example of this, you know, the stuff that we do. So we will be in the red from a financial perspective as for the foreseeable future, you know, for probably 2 years or so, as we continue to invest and pay it forward into investments such as land in Decentraland, land in the other side, Meta with Bored Ape Yacht Club, you know, land in these other metaverse spaces as well. places like World Wide Web, Sandbox. I'm curious to see what happens with Sandbox and the other side, so I'm holding back my purchase there a little bit, but you get the idea that it's kind of land, buildings, and all kinds of other stuff as to where the funds go. But all of it's back into the business as we, continue to march forward with our, multi-year plan.
And I think just if you could, Jack, touch on for someone who doesn't know what a metaverse experience is like, or like what a metaverse like festival or club kind of looks like, if we could get like in your own words what that experience would be to like a patron or a fan.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good question. So the best way I would describe it, if you've ever seen an award show, like the Oscars or, the Academy Awards, whatever, the Grammys, and you see the person win the award, but they're not there. Like they're not physically in Beverly Hills or Hollywood or whatever, right? And they call in live via satellite and, they accept the award from their vacation in the Bahamas or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of the experience that it's very similar to a metaverse concert experience. And I'll tell you why, because, from when you're at home watching the award show, you see both people in the crowd, as well as the stage, as well as a TV screen with somebody broadcasting from somewhere else. Same exact thing in the metaverse concert experience, at least as they exist today, in that, you can see the avatars, you can see the crowd in the room, and then up on what feels like a large jumbotron is typically where you see the actual live stream coming in. And what's on the other side of that live stream is really up to, the imagination, the creator, the builders of Web3 and everything in between. We started out, I know we chatted a little bit, beforehand, talking about streaming and being bullish on streaming just in general. And like you've seen it, right? The stuff that people get creative on with their streams on Twitch. And
well, it's kind of like you're not right now as an artist. I think they did the figures. If you have over 180 people, like at any one time, if you can consistently hit 180 plus in a live stream on Twitch, you could earn upwards of $50,000 a year. So to be a live streamer full time is not something that's out of the ordinary as a musician, or as people that do with their gaming and stuff like that. But then to add Web3 onto that, you're kind of looking at adding even more. We could have artists that combine Web3 with streaming, which is you're going to be doing metaverse experiences, but you can just kind of project them into Twitch or other Web2 streaming services and look at upwards of $100,000 plus a year as an average revenue once you've built up that fan base, which is really exciting. And obviously that's your team is planning to hit those kind of numbers and beyond, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's like there's so much there. And so the experience for let's say somebody's at home and they're listening to this and they're thinking about jumping into the metaverse and they're not sure, kind of how that would look, right? Aaron, to your point or to your question, fundamentally, for one thing, they don't need VR goggles, which is a common misconception. And the other common misconception is that they're not going to, Facebook's website to get there either. But you're essentially logging in on a PC, not mobile, but a desktop or laptop computer, Mac or Windows, and you're viewing and listening to a concert. And where it goes from there is, like I said, kind of really up to the creative mind of the person on the other side of that stream. One other aspect I'll point out too, though, that I think sometimes gets overlooked is it's a very social experience. So when I first thought of, okay, I'm doing a metaverse concert. What does that mean? What does that look like? I totally thought that I was going into a room full of, you know, maybe like fake avatars or something. Maybe there would be like a couple of people there. I don't even know, right? I had been to the Travis Scott Fortnite streaming concerts, which, you know, did staggering numbers, but were a much different experience. And I was kind of expecting to be performing for an empty room, at least in the beginning. And I got to my first Metaverse concert, and there was like 300 people there. And they were from, you know, Decentraland's community, the True Band Room, which shout out to the Rocking Unicorns. I can't believe I didn't say this already. Almost all of my, you know, my first Metaverse concert, and almost all of my, like, you know, regular Cadence Metaverse concerts have been at the True Band Room, which is run by the Rocking Unicorns in Decentraland. So I definitely want to give them a shout out. And yeah, I was expecting an empty room, and instead I walked in with a room, not only a full room full of people, but a full room of people that knew each other. And I was like, oh, this is different. You know, this is a social platform where people are, you know, building communities in addition to it being this, you know, cool technology. And so, yeah, there's so much that, you know, there's so much to do from here, I guess.
I'm so glad you brought up that Travis Scott Fortnite performance, because I think like that, like in essence, is like such a great example of a metaverse performance, except for the fact that there is no real I guess like social interaction for that, like within Fortnite, I guess. You can't like talk to anyone that's kind of not on your team, so there isn't really that like everyone's in the one room experience it together and like talking to each other. But I think like the level of like performance
we could get to,
yeah, that like, you know, obviously Epic Games and Travis Scott have like a big old bag of cash, so they can put the money into that. But I think just as the space builds, those kind of performances are going to be a bit more common, and more people are going to start to do some really cool things with that. And then to experience that with the level of community that something like Decentraland offers, I think will create some really fun and unique experiences for people to enjoy with their friends.
Yeah.
So I was going
to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You go, Jack. You go, Jack.
No,
I was going to
just
ask about any problems.
And yeah, any problems with no, you're good. Yeah, see, that's a perfect example. That's a great, what just happened right there can happen at a metaverse concert. So this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to know about like problems you might have, or things, you know, challenges with the technology that you have encountered, you know, so that other people who are maybe interested in doing something similar, they, you know, they've got some things that, you know, they can learn from you, I guess. So what's some stuff that's been challenging for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say it's very important to test before you go live. As simple as that sounds, it doesn't always happen. And there are so many things that could go wrong along the way, depending on how many technology layers you're putting on top of these situations. So, like to paint a picture, if you've ever seen that GIF from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie's trying to explain like the Venn diagram of like conspiracy theories on the board. That's kind of like what a setup could look like with what I'm doing, at least. So, you know, I've got multiple computers running at the same time. One computer is streaming the audio and video of the experience. The other computer is providing the content for the stream. Let's say it's my music, which, you know, we can talk a little bit more about as well, because I think there's some nuances there, but just my music or other people's music, video content, you know, things like that, images. And so, you know, one machine is providing the content, the data, and the information, and then another computer is logged into Decentraland or whatever metaverse, interacting with people in the room. And so there's multiple layers, and any one of those layers, something could go wrong. Most commonly, what I've seen go wrong is just that artists aren't aware of the fact that like they'll be, you know, playing music, and we can also hear the things happening in the background at their homes or something, right?
Yeah.
You know,
That's the garbage truck.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Another common problem is bandwidth. This is actually probably the primary challenge is bandwidth. So you're streaming video and audio from one place to another, and you're also running one of the most, you know, taxing games, which is Decentraland. Any of these, you know, metaverse games are very taxing from a computer power perspective. And so, yeah, so you guys get it. It's like the stream itself sometimes struggles to keep up, and people in the room, in the metaverse room, might experience like lag as a result of that.
Yeah, for those that don't know my personal background, it's running an entertainment agency. And about 5 years ago, I became aware of live streaming, became very bullish on it. And I went through I reckon probably 3 years of making continued mistakes on the understanding of how hardware interacts with the computer, finding bandwidth, but basically being able to understand where and when it's actually humanly possible to run a stream, because you just need so much, number one, internet. Like you need an exact amount of megabytes to host a live stream. To then host a live stream whilst your computer is doing probably one of the hardest things it can do, which is run a metaverse, is then another whole, you know, you need hardware that's really going to push the limits of computing essentially to run that. So it becomes a whole another battle on top of that, which is it's definitely something that no one considers until they're in the space trying to do it.
Totally.
Let's talk a bit about your music then, because you mentioned it just before, and I think that's important for people to know what kind of music you make, and you know, you as an artist. So tell us a little bit about your music, and you know, and what's involved with it there.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. It's funny because I even oftentimes forget to talk about it because of the other stuff we've got going on, which is exactly how I want to live my life, by the way. You know, is just I believe so much in this space that, you know, I really want to go hard. And so it's exactly how I want to live. But yeah, so I've been making music my entire alien life. Even in my home planet, I was a music producer and kind of a successful one on certain levels on my home planet. And so when I came to Earth, I decided to, you know, kind of learn a little bit more about human music, and went through a little bit of an education of just studying up, you know, MTV and, you know, as many music videos as I could possibly watch, and just kind of, you know, soaked it in. And, you know, I really love human music. I really love Earth music. And so the music that I've most resonated with has been, you know, EDM music and rap music. And I've made both for many, many years as a music producer, as a singer, songwriter, rapper, and also as an executive producer, in the sense that somebody like DJ Khaled, for example, makes music. He makes a beat, or he, you know, identifies a beat that he likes, obtains the rights to that beat, and then he puts together a, you know, superstar list of artists, right? He puts together his dream team of artists. I'm less concerned with the superstar aspect of that model than I am with just the model of getting the right person in the right seat for that song. So if they're, you know, a female vocalist that should be singing the vocals instead of a male vocalist, or vice versa, you know, just thinking with a blank canvas and like a magic wand as to how you want this song to sound, and not worrying as much about whether or not my voice can produce the sounds that I want it to. And so that's, kind of the spectrum of music is, EDM, rap music, and, collaborative music. My last Web 2 album was called The Formula. It's available on all the major streaming platforms, and it had over 30 artists collaborating on it.
Is there any secret messages in that? It's the formula. It sounds like it's a code for like alien code.
It actually, there is a secret message to it. And there's secret messages within almost everything I do, which just makes it that much more fun. But I can't reveal the exact details right now, but I can tell you that it has to do with the game that we have had out. We created a metaverse concert attendance game, metaverse experience game, back in like January, and we've just been kind of refining it as we go. We were a little too early with that one as well, and POAPs were a big part of it, and they had their own challenges. So long story short, to say that it's not ready for the mainstream yet, but as part of the game, the formula will play a part. So good catch there. I appreciate that a lot. And so, yeah, there's a lot of artists on it, 30 people on it. And so, and major artists, like there's a song on there with Pusha T, this rapper. There's a song on there with 2 members of the Wu-Tang Clan. Shout out to Killa Priest and Masta Killa from the Wu-Tang Clan. So some really big names on the album. When I set out to make my Web3 album, as a result, I really wanted to make it focused around Jack Frost, the Jack Frost legacy and storyline, and my music as being the focal point of it. So the Web3 album that we dropped is called Area 51. It's an 8-song album, which is all 8 songs are part of the Space Pass NFT collection, and that's a hybrid of EDM and rap music. And where we go from here is really exciting. I don't want to take up too much time on the music piece, but I think it's important to kind of paint a little bit of a picture for the future, if you guys don't mind.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. What's coming up next?
Cool. All right, cool. Good. So yeah, the future of Jack Frost music in the metaverse is really centered around experiences. So our last drop was a music video NFT drop that we did on Glass, which sold out incredibly fast. It sold out in 17 minutes, which was amazing. And shout out to the entire team, the entire community, and everybody in Web3 for rallying with us and making that possible. It was such a Herculean team effort across the board. Music videos are significantly different than just an MP3, let's say, or a music file. And so what we're really trying to tap into is creating experiences that are both audio and visual for the collectors, for the holders. And we want the collections themselves to be highly collectible, which sounds obvious, right? Collections collectible, but consistency, themed, telling a story. Think of these like individual issues of a comic book for each song that will come out. There's more to the kind of alpha leaks than that, but if I leave you with something on kind of what to envision, it's a timeline with Jack Frost episodes, and these episodes are, like I said, songs with a visual component of some level. It might be a video, it might be just a still piece of art, but each drop is going to be very intentional and tell a part of Jack Frost's story.
That's so awesome. That's exactly like what you need to do. You know, like with music in general, you're trying to tell a story. So I think that's smart that you're doing that in the Web3 space. Awesome. Excited for all that
Thank
stuff.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate all of this a lot. So thank you.
I think we're I don't know. I feel like we've learned a lot about you know, Jack Frost and the alien. So is there anything else that you want people to know out there before we, you know, maybe sign off, or you know, is there anything you want people to know?
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I think it's important for me to kind of point out a couple of things that we've got coming up. So we have a big event at NFT NYC this year. In just a couple short weeks, we'll be in New York City for the largest NFT convention in the world. And we have a big music experience event planned for June 21st. So if you guys are going to be in New York City, then I would love to see you guys there. And if folks are listening at home and want to get in on that party, your ticket to that party is the Space Pass NFT. The event itself is a Jack Frost hosted and headlining event, but we have so many surprise major music artists coming to this event that I think we're really going to blow the doors off with all of the performances, and I'd like to think including mine as well. So that's exciting, and I appreciate that. No, you know, it's really cool though. It's gonna be really special, the whole night and the whole experience. And I believe that it's a period of consolidation right now in the Web3 space, and I believe that the people that are building and leaning in harder instead of kind of retracing their steps and maybe even taking a break from the space, right? Like I think the people that are leaning in and really doing it and going even harder during this consolidation period will be, you know, doing very well on the other side of that. And I fully intend to be a part of the fabric of what we're building here for a very long time. And NFT NYC, I think, is a key part of that. In addition to that, I also want to just kind of point out that as I navigate, you know, the Web3 space, I am a huge fan of supporting other people, other organizations, other groups, other artists, other projects. I want to make sure it's the right people and the right organizations, right? It's not just blind support. But my mantra is kind of that, you know, we're stronger together. And I tell that to people often, and I encourage people, anybody that's listening to this, to take me up on that. If you've got a drop, if you've got a music NFT, if you've got something that you're excited about, a Twitter space, a metaverse concert, whatever it is, blow up my DMs. And at some point, I will get back to you, right? And at some point, we will rally together. And it's happened time and time again. And I love seeing it. And so I really want to encourage that behavior. And I also want to make sure that I give a huge, huge shout out to my entire team, to the First Lady of NFT, to Donkey Stonks, the fortune teller, to D-Fresh, the Fresh Maker, to Flip the Kid, to Shelly Van, to Dino, to Madamus, to Kronos, to our extended team, folks like Pinkstar, JVB, Mecca, Bobby Yaps, Future Music, so many great peeps, Smoke Screezy, just so many amazing aliens. And that list is a lot longer than that. I gotta give props to, you know, the team and our amazing community. It's just, I'm so blessed and so grateful to have good people and aliens around me, and they make my life a lot easier and make it possible for us to scale, you know, these larger events and to dream bigger. And I guess my last point would be that I do encourage you to dream bigger. Don't let fear get in the way of your decisions. Fear is a fake mechanism. It's like a psychological trick that you're playing on yourself. And if you can push through the fear wall, I believe that everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah, I think we've had 2 great episodes recently where with 2 great quotes, be about it, and now we're stronger together. And I think, definitely you can see how serious you are about that. You're already talking about a 2-year plan. You're talking about becoming a part of the fabric here. We identified you as someone that is definitely going to be someone big over the next couple of years, just because of your consistency and your purity in the space. And that's 2 things we massively believe in, is, especially consistency. Like consistency for you as an artist and your team will prove the breaking point and just show and cement your position in the space. So we're really excited to see and just pay attention to your growth in the space, and looking forward to seeing some shorts from the NFT NYC event as well.
I appreciate that so much. And, the feeling is mutual. I love what you guys are doing here. I binged on a bunch of episodes. I feel like I'm an expert and I'm rocking with it. I love it. I want to support what you guys are doing and turn this into a long-term partnership in all the right ways. So same thing goes for you guys. If you guys have anything you're working on, promoting, rallying around, that you want to have more eyes on, more attention, more people in the room, more aliens in the room, whatever it is, blow me up. You can use our server as like kind of an open space to share things. Like people do it all the time. They'll come in and say, we've got a podcast, or we've got a concert, or we've got a drop. And like, I want that, right? I really, really want that. So feel free to take me up on that. And I'd love to rally with you guys as we all, collectively grow here. Yeah.
Thanks so much. But yeah, I think that's about it. Hey, Joe?
Yeah, that's
All
it.
good?
Thanks for the chat, Jack, for making some time for us. And we'll catch everyone at the next episode. Make sure you go check out his project.
We'll make sure to include all the links as usual in the show notes. And thanks a lot, Jack.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Aaron, Brock, Jay, everybody, appreciate you guys so much. Like, just shout out Project DJ. Thank you guys very much for the opportunity.